Hi, I'm Bill Carmody, and one of the things that I want to share with you is about your irresistible offer. Now, just as a recap, there are only four things that truly matter in your coaching business: your niche, which is your who, your irresistible offer, which is your what, generating appointments, which is where do you find your clients, and number four, converting appointments, which essentially is how is it the time for someone to buy from you, meaning are they ready? And so the reason I share that is for context. I've spent a lot of time talking to people about their niche, and the thing that goes right next to the niche is the irresistible offer. Now, the irresistible offer is the what. If you've already focused on your who, if you know exactly who it is you wish to coach in this world, then the next most important thing you can figure out is what is it that they want. Now, the thing is, people say, well, coaching, they want coaching, right? No. Coaching is a methodology. It is a means to an end. In truth, nobody buys coaching. They buy outcomes, and the coaching helps them get that outcome. Now, that's so important because if you're like, hey, I'm a fabulous coach, here's my rate, here's how you work with me, you're talking about the how. You're not talking about the what. So, if you can really understand that when you want to purchase something, you're purchasing the outcome of the thing you want, not the actual methodology of the thing you want. If I ask you what time it is, right? I don't need you to tell me exactly how the watches are built. I want you to tell me what time it is because my outcome is to know whether I'm late for something or whether I'm ahead of schedule or I'm right on time, right? So the intention here is think specifically about what does your niche need more than anything else. That's how you can create an offer that is truly irresistible because your niche invests in outcomes. Now, what I want you to think about is how to address the major pain point that your niche is experiencing. What are they suffering from? Where are they struggling? And what's the deeper underlying desire, which they may not even know? And I share that with you for context because sometimes people are asking for one thing, but they really need something else. But if you're speaking to the thing they need and not the thing they want, they're not going to come find you until you at least address the thing that they're aware of that they want from you. And it zeroes in on the core value that a client gets when they're working with you. Now, this is important. If you think specifically about what is it that a client gets when they hire you, again, it's not hourly rates, it's not coaching. What's the outcome that they receive from your engagements? That's the part that is so important. And so I'm going to ask you to keep thinking about this, about what is their biggest pain point. In fact, right now, if you want to pause and just write down the answer to that question, what is my niche's biggest pain point? This is going to help you with the rest of this video. Now, if you don't, that's fine. We'll play along and give some examples. But ultimately, I do think it's helpful that as we're doing this work, you have it. In fact, open up another browser and go to askbill.us, and you could be playing with this right alongside me. So as I'm telling you this content in the video, you can be putting in questions for yourself and getting refinements directly from my artificial intelligence agent. But the key thing is to really have a truly irresistible offer, you need to know the biggest pain point of your niche because that will lead you to pointing at what is their deeper underlying desire? What is it they really, really want? So I might tell you that what I want is a thriving coaching business. Okay, but my deeper underlying desire is financial freedom. I want to do what I love and I want to be having a fabulous outcome financially so that my family is very protected, that they have everything that they need. At the same time, I'm continuously doing the work that I love doing, right? So there's a simple formula that I want to introduce to you here. And again, you'll see it if you go to askbill.us. You can go in and ask what is the irresistible offer formula, and you're going to see it's the same thing. I help people go from problem to promise. I help people go from problem to promise. Now, the idea is what is the problem that they're experiencing and what is the outcome that they're looking for? So, I help coaches go from struggling financially to completely abundant, financially free, right? I help them build seven-figure coaches. Now, that wasn't very eloquent, so I can do better, right? I can think about this like I work with coaches to break free from barely making ends meet to building a seven-figure coaching practice. Better, right? I help executive coaches. I help mental fitness coaches. I help, and you start thinking about the who, which is why we spent so much time on the niche first to really understand what's the problem and what's the payoff. Now, I'll keep going with this formula. I help divorced women go from scarcity circumstances so that they can have the relationships of their dreams, right? I'm sorry, let me say that again. I help divorced women let go of scarcity circumstances so they can have the relationships of their dreams. I work with overweight men to transform their physical health and become mentally fit so that they can reach their health goals. I empower working single moms to break free from their scarcity fears and achieve total financial freedom, right? I work with world-changing visionaries who are brave enough to build a better future. Now, you'll notice that in all of these examples, some are stronger than others, some are clearer than others. So part of the refinement strategy is how juicy is this? How well will this affect your audience? Do they say, that's what I need. That's what I need, and I need it from you. So I would ask you to think about who are the people you most want to help and can help. Those are your niche, right? That's your people. What's the problem that they're struggling with right now? And what's the promise as a result of working with you? What will they get? Because what makes the offer irresistible is that promise, that outcome, the result they get from working with you. And so if you think about all the different ways you can use this, you'll keep coming back to the problem and the promise. What is the outcome that they want? So, other examples, I empower underrepresented leaders to cultivate belonging for themselves and others. Or I support retired men to live a life of purpose. Or by eradicating money fears, I support divorced women to be financially free, right? I help people go from problem to promise. And as you continue to refine this, you're going to see like your irresistible offer is unique to the specific needs and major pain points of your niche. That's why we spend so much time working on your niche. If you're not clear on who your niche is, you're going to have a real hard time coming up with what is their problem and what is their outcome. If you're like, I am helping people in transitions. It's so broad. There's no way you can come up with an irresistible offer. What would you say to that? But if I help people who are out of a job, it's like I help people get hired. Okay, great. I help people get hired and get to the career of their dreams. I help people find the exact job that they've always wanted and get hired in the matter of 30 days or less, right? Each time I play with this, I can say, what is the offer that they're going to resonate with? They all want a job, yes. But what's the thing that's going to make them pick up the phone and call me or get on my calendar, set up a Calendly link and be able to come in and have a full discovery session with me? What that's going to come down to is understanding their pain point and the urgency of now. What is it that they want? So your irresistible offer needs to be unique to the specific needs and major pain point of your niche. You got to be clear on what your niche gets from you in the engagement. And ideally, it's short, to the point, and easy to remember. Now, the example I gave in the niche statement was I talked about a relationship coach who came up with, I help men get laid. And I was like, it's like, okay, wait, hold on. This is the thing. That's what men want in a relationship, or many men want in a relationship. And she was going right for it. But then she came on and said, you know what, though? The most of the women that I help, the most people that I get referrals from are women. Why? Because they want the people that they want to be in relationship with to understand what it takes to really take care of a relationship, to show up in their feminine power, not just their masculine energy. And while the outcome may be that they want to have more sex in their life, really what it comes down to is understand how do you be in a powerful relationship. But if you say, I want to help you get into a powerful relationship, what does that mean? Right? So you got to think about it. The language needs to be coming from your niche. What is the way your niche would say this? Not how would you say it as a coach, not would how others say it, but what is it that your niche would really resonate with, right? And just like a headline, this is an invitation to go deeper. So you don't need to tell the whole story of what you do, The idea of like something punchy gets people an understanding of how to unpack it with you. Wow, that's fascinating. Tell me more about that. That's what you want as a response. And if you're not getting that, then it's like ways for you to juice this up a little bit more and think about how else could you say this in a way that really resonates with the people you're talking to. So you don't need to tell everybody everything. In fact, when you do that, that feels like more of a how as opposed to a what. So just be careful. Anytime you're doing your irresistible offer, it's a what. What is it that you do? What is the outcome you deliver? And of course, you want to energize yourself in this. So the idea of do you resonate with this irresistible offer? Like for many relationship coaches, they couldn't say I help men get laid. It just doesn't resonate with them. They would just feel, oh, no, I can't do that. But I'm not asking you to adopt the language. I'm asking you to think how provocative it is and how people would be like, what? I mean, it cuts right through all the clutter, doesn't it? It's like if you think about what is the outcome people want. If I'm out here trying to help coaches with their financial freedom, they're resonating with some sort of financial scarcity, and this is the antidote. Tapping into your own infinite abundance is the antidote to scarcity, but that may not be punchy enough, right? I help coaches build six-figure coaching businesses in 6 months or less. A lot more appealing, isn't it? So think about like what is it that the people want and how do you actually help them get there? That's the whole point of your irresistible offer. So I would suggest that you keep playing with this and refine it. Like what you're going to be doing with your irresistible offer is testing it. Like how do you know if it offer is truly irresistible? Or does it generate appointments on your calendar? When you talk about your irresistible offer, it should get people on your calendar, get them excited about the outcome, get them excited about talking with you, right? So look for ways to level up the emotion. Like, what are the ways that it feels good or gets people excited about what it is that you're talking about? Um, Always think about the language too. Is the language you're using, is it coach language? Is it industry jargon? Is it stuff that they would actually understand? If you can say it simply and effectively, you have a better chance of attracting your audience. I used to use the fourth grader test, or even third grader, right? I would go in and talk to someone about my niche and my irresistible offer to a child. Why? Because I want them to be able to pick it apart. And, from the mouths of babes, right? People will go out there and actually tell it like it is. Kids don't filter. That's one of the beautiful things about them. And if you cannot take it personally, if you ever have an opportunity to talk to a child about what you do, and they're like, I don't get it. Good. Like help them understand, like, what is it that you do? Keep going. Because as you simplify your language, you might find a really, really powerful way to share what you do with someone else. And if you can do it for kids, you can absolutely do it for your niche. So think about what you want to say and then start saying it conversationally, like over and over again in front of the mirror. This is what I do. This is how I do it. Like you want to get into that groove so that when somebody says, hey, what is it that you do again? You're not like, I don't know, right? You want to be able to have it roll off your tongue. And so from that perspective, you really want to focus in on how can I be most effective and most efficient with my language? Saying fewer words that really connect with your niche is what we're going for here. So maybe come up with a couple different versions. Maybe go to askbill.us and say, I'm looking for 3 versions of my irresistible offer. Here's what I'm working with right now. And then say, what are some variations? And let's play. Because if we can play with it, then it's not about like which one sounds the best. I don't really care about that. What I care about is which one's most effective, which is the one that's going to get appointments on your calendar. That's what I care about. And that's what you should care about too. Because ultimately, if your offer is truly irresistible, it's going to get you appointments, and those appointments are going to lead to more revenue, more coaching contracts. And that's what we're really trying to do here to make the biggest impact you can in the world. We want you to have a viable coaching business, a sustainable, financially lucrative coaching business. And that's going to come out with what is the value of the outcome that you're serving up for your niche. And it's also okay to just have different versions of your irresistible offer for different occasions. You might say it differently on your LinkedIn profile than you do from the stage if you're giving a keynote speech, which might be different than a direct outreach where you're handwriting it in a card or sending a text or an email. It's okay if you have little variations. But what you want to do is when somebody asks you, what is it that you don't want to hesitate. You want to be able to speak into a language that has energy behind it. When I say, when I started out as a coach, I said I help world changing visionaries create a better future that are brave enough to create a better future became like variations. So I started with I help world changing visionaries who are brave enough to create a better future. So I evolved it then. And then I realized that some people didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So even though I loved it, I'm like, this is great. World changing visionaries who are brave enough to create a better future. Yes. So that's what it has to start with me, right? I had to love my irresistible offer. But then as I started testing it, it's like, oh, you don't know who I'm talking about. That's a problem, right? So I had to evolve it. It's like, well, let's see. I need to work with executives, C-suite executives, right? So I started to refine my niche a little bit further about what is a world-changing visionary. If that's too broad, I need to like chunk it down and say, okay, great. Now that I know who that is, what is it that they care about? So, for example, I help BIPOC C-suite tech executives discover the key that unlocks their golden handcuffs. Compare that to I empower world-changing visionaries who are brave enough to create a different future, right? That's generic. But when I say I help Black, Indigenous, and people of color C-suite tech executives discover the key that unlocks their golden handcuffs. Boom, right? It's like that's a great way for people to say, I know exactly who you're talking about. Let me make an introduction. I know who to connect you with, right? I support single moms eradicate their imposter syndrome as they return to work. How many single moms come to work and they're like, oh, I've been out of work for so long. I don't belong here. That's imposter syndrome. Some of these moms that are coming back to work are the most powerful employees a company could ever have. But if they are showing up in their imposter syndrome every day, they're not showing up powerfully. They're not going to be able to do the kind of work that they know they're capable of and that they were hired for. So that's a powerful one, right? What's the outcome? Eradicate your imposter syndrome. Clean, to the point. I empower underrepresented leaders to cultivate belonging for themselves and others. So again, if what I'm trying to do is shift the culture, I don't say I change cultures, right? That's an outcome. Yes, you change cultures. So what? Right? The thing is that the outcome needs to be specific so that people understand what you mean. By saying that I empower underrepresented leaders to cultivate belonging for themselves and others, I'm creating a culture of belonging. So I'm speaking more about what is the problem and how do I actually turn it into the outcome that we all want to see. I work with struggling married couples find their new way forward together. Great. These are couples that are at risk for divorce. So I might even say it that way. I work with married couples who are about to not be married. Find a new way forward. So just even small nuances like that can make a big difference. So keep playing. I help women minimize the pain associated with getting divorced so that they can be truly free. Okay, their spouse cheated on them. They're ready to be done. I'm out. But that process of getting a divorce is terrifying for most people, even if it's the right thing to do. It's hard, right? So if a coach can actually help them with the transition, it makes them feel good about it. And understand like I'm starting my new chapter, my new life. I'm closing the book on this chapter. I'm closing out this chapter and I'm starting a new one, right? I help women minimize the pain associated with getting divorced so they can be truly free. How about I support retired men live a life of purpose? Most people who are going into retirement are concerned that like they go pick up the golf clubs or they go do walks on beach and like I'm bored, right? So even though I don't necessarily need to have a job, I still want to have a life of purpose. What does that look like? I empower youth leaders to stand in their power and model what's possible. Cool, right? I'm coming in with the youngest talent that's coming into our organization, helping them to stand in their power and see what's possible, the impact they can make in an organization. If you're trying to attract people who've just gotten their first job out of college or early in their careers, what a great way to say it. Like, I'm going to help you stand in your power and advance quickly throughout your career. By eradicating money fears, I support divorced women to be financially free. And I'm using the divorced women here as a couple of different variations. So notice, like, I've got three different versions that I've shared with you in this. I would want to test them. And I'd want to test them with people that know. Like, I might go to a divorce lawyer and say, I'm a coach. I work with women who are in the process of getting divorced, have already gotten divorced, or have just gotten divorced. Here's some different versions that I use in terms of the outcomes I think they're struggling with. Would love to get feedback from a lawyer who says, yeah, you know what? My clients really struggle right here. This is what I would have you focus on if I was to refer clients to you. Great, right? So the idea here is that progress, not perfection. We're going to continuously look at, like, how do we do different versions of this to create progress in our coaching business? And the ultimate purveyor of success is not what you think sounds good, right? You can go to askbill.us and you can come up with two or three versions that sound amazing. But until you've tested it to try to generate appointments on your calendar, you don't know if it's effective. You might suspect it sounds good. That's great. You've at least cleaned it up to the best of your abilities. There's your progress. Awesome. Now it's time to actually see if you can get appointments on your calendar. Because if you can get appointments on your calendar, then chances are your irresistible offer is truly irresistible. Now, there's things that we can go into further, but I just want you to start playing there. One of the questions that I get often asked a lot is, what about risk removal? What about guaranteeing outcomes? Now, when I first started out, my first year of coaching, I had lots of time. I was long on time and short on finance. I needed the money, especially early on in building my coaching business. And so I was willing to take some risks. One of them was a money back guarantee. And so I would say, look, I'm going to help you create a six-figure coaching practice in 6 months. If you don't already have the six-figure coaching business or are completely confident that within a very near term, by the end of the year, like within the next 6 months, you will have your six-figure coaching business, I'll give you your money back from your coaching investment with me. Now, I share that with you because, again, it's like I was willing to take that risk. And people say to me, Bill, how could you promise that? If they don't generate appointments, if they don't do the work, they're not going to get the outcome. And that's true. And that is the risk. But part of what I do with my money back guarantee is say, you got to do the work. And part of the process is that I'm going to know early on if you're taking the steps we've talked about. And if you're consistently coming back and like, yeah, I didn't do my homework. No, I didn't reach out to anyone this week. I didn't do any of that stuff. I'm going to be the one to challenge you because my butt's on the line, right? I said, you're going to build a six-figure coaching business, but I can't make you build one. And so if your plan is to do 6 months of coaching with me and then ask for your money back, I got a problem with that because you're not doing the work that you said you were going to do, right? So there's this point where at the enrollment process, you can offer a money back guarantee. As it's part of the contract that you do with your clients, you tell them the terms. I am giving you a money back guarantee contingent on the few things you must do. And for the point of building a six-figure coaching practice, it's like, I need to see a certain number of appointments every month or every week or a number of outreaches. And if that's not happening, then that's what we're going to be coaching on. So you might say, oh, I want to talk about my relationship with my kids, or I want to talk about the other things that are stopping me. And you say, okay, that's great. We'll spend a little bit of time on that. But I really need to know that you're leaning in to building your coaching business, because oftentimes it would be all the excuses that they're putting in front of the doing the actual work because they're afraid. They're afraid to be seen. They're afraid to lean into their practice. I know that. I was too, right? This is nothing that I have experienced myself. So part of this money back guarantee component is I know my own challenges and I'm trying to help them navigate around them. And so for you, as you think about this, you do not have to offer a money back guarantee, but it does make the offer really irresistible if you choose to do it. And know this, that most people understand their part in it. As long as you're explicit that I cannot do this for you, you need to do the work. But if you do the work, you'll get the result. There is where you start to draw the line of I'll give you your money back if you do the work and you don't get the result. If you really earnestly did this, leaned all in, did everything you can, sometimes it still doesn't work out. And the question is, are you willing to take that risk? Early on in the process, you might be. As you get better better, that's the wrong word. As you become more financially successful in your coaching business, you may not have to. Especially your reputation precedes you. More people want to hire you than you have time on your calendar to accept. That's a great problem to have. It's still a problem, but it's a great problem to have, and in which case you really don't need to offer a money back guarantee. But in the meantime, as you're thinking about what's my offer and how do I make it as irresistible as possible, that's one thing to consider. Another thing to consider is how long do you go after your irresistible offer until you make some changes? And what I would say with that is that really make sure you've talked to enough people that it's not just a random sample. If you only talk to 10 people and if we give them your irresistible offer and you don't get a single appointment on your calendar, you might want to talk to 10 more before you actually change it, or maybe change some small language nuancing just to see if a small tweak could make a bigger output. But if you've talked to 50 people and you've got no appointments on your calendar, your offer is not irresistible. That's a fact, right? And so either you have the wrong niche or you have the wrong irresistible offer. So you want to start looking at what are the parameters. Now, this is not like hard science here. Like fact is that you can actually create some boundaries ahead of time. The key is to do it before you start. So you say, okay, I'm going to go target 50 people. And I'm expecting of those 50, I want to have at least 5 and ideally 10 appointments on my calendar as a starting point. Now, maybe you get 12 or maybe you get 4, right? So it's like still in the ballpark. It's like, all right, it's not quite as irresistible as I want, but I think this is a good starting point. Let's see how I go from here. How might I change it up? What else might I add? What might I take away? And you're going because you have momentum. All of this, all of what I'm sharing with you is to get you into action. The more momentum you create, the faster you'll grow your coaching business. That's what I want you to take away from all this. So as we wrap up this session for today, I want some key takeaways for you. I really want you to remember that nobody buys coaching. Everyone you're talking to buys outcomes. The irresistible offer is a promise of an outcome. And the more juicy that outcome is, the easier it is you're going to get people to want to sign up with you, get on your calendar. The clearer you can make your irresistible offer, the easier it becomes to share. So keep coming back to that space. Like, is this something that people really, truly understand? When someone hires me, do they know exactly what they get? Is there any confusion around that? Is it too complicated? Am I trying to tell the whole story of how I'm going to do the coaching and how it's going to work, all the how, instead of the what? So if you continue to come back to a really juicy, irresistible offer, it's clear, it's concise, it allows people to really get behind what it is they get from you in their work together. As long as it's a juicy outcome, you're going to get a lot of people who want to sign up with you and get on your calendar. And if they're not getting on your calendar, that's the key. Like, how long are you going to give this before you decide to pivot? The pivot should come after you've done a number of outreaches, talked to a number of folks, and you realize you've given your irresistible offer. You feel good about the delivery, and it's just not resonating. Okay, then it's time to pivot. But if you've only done a handful of people, you probably haven't done enough analysis. You haven't done enough effort to truly know how irresistible your offer is. So keep going, right? Because sometimes it takes a little bit longer than you think it should. And if you are willing to keep going and you're willing to keep doing the work, you're going to get the outcome. Even a terrible irresistible offer will get appointments on the calendar, right? Yes. Because if someone's desperate, they need you. And it's like, oh God, you fell into my lap. That's fantastic. But that doesn't mean it's a great offer. It just means you happen to be the right person at the right time. Sometimes that's just serendipity and that's chance. But if you're getting consistent appointments on your calendar, then chances are your offer truly is irresistible. And so with that, I'm going to ask you to go take a look at what you've put together. If you've had open the tab and askbill.us, great. Perhaps you have a couple statements you're excited to go out there and try. If you haven't and you've just been listening to me, that's fine. I'm a unitasker too. Your next step is to go to askbill.us and see what you can find out. Give this an opportunity to create some irresistible offers you want to test, and let's go from there. All right, I'll see you again soon.